If revenge had ranks, this would be the pinnacle of revenge, trapping the enemy to the ground and using their body to nourish a peach tree, making them wish for death. The story is set 30 years post-apocalypse, where Earth is a vast, barren desert. Humans start killing one another in brutal wars over scarce resources, a tragic scene. However, amidst this wasteland, there lies a place of hope, where there are green plants and water sources, and the people living here thrive through hard work. Joy and her sister discover a group of wild men at the oasis while they are picking peaches. Joy understands that the oasis will be depleted once it's discovered. To prevent them from leaving and alerting others, Joy tells her sister to stay put while she quietly approaches. She swiftly cuts the motorcycle's fuel line while the distracted guys are preoccupied. As she gets ready to act, a savage unexpectedly appears behind her. Joy stabs her opponent in the thigh and then flees. A child is captured by barbarians and thrown to the ground. He whistles to warn his tribe, but is swiftly knocked out by a barbarian, bound, and placed on a motorcycle to be taken away. Joy's mother hears the whistle and leaves with the chief. She runs into the sandstorm after hearing her sister's cries and reaches the hill. The chief snipes an enemy from a high vantage point. A barbarian quickly jumps off to steal a rare motorcycle. Joy's mother has caught up with him and successfully killed him. The mother rides the stolen motorcycle back to the tribe to rescue Joy alone. The barbarians recognize their formidable opponent and are quickly advancing toward the camp. The slowest person gets shot in the head. The motorcycle is more powerful than the previous one, prompting the two barbarians to quickly remove the tires and gasoline. In chaotic times, ordinary people vanish. A mother quickly realizes her motorcycle's power and swaps its fuel tank and tires. Joy is already awake. Even though he secretly bit through the motorcycle's fuel line, it soon broke down due to the leak. The barbarian had to pause to repair the motorcycle, allowing Joy's mother to catch up. Although there was still some distance, Joy's mother was known as a sharpshooter, capable of taking out enemies from miles away. The last barbarian couldn't act easily with his daughter on his back, so he opted to deflate the motorcycle's tires first. The barbarian found himself too late to act before his stronghold. The barbarian was thrilled back at the base, excitedly discussing the oasis discovery with the girl as evidence. Eager for a reward from the leader, he celebrated too soon. Clever Joy seized the moment to snag his whip in the wheel, leading to the death of the sole barbarian who knew the oasis's location. Joy's mother felt relieved, but Joy was still held by the little chief, who then handed her to Hammer and reported about the oasis. Hammer altered his fierce demeanor and used tricks to convince her that disclosing the oasis's location would lead her home. But Joy was clearly not that foolish. To gain her trust, Hammer had to arrange for his men to take good care of her while they styled her. Joey's bag revealed peaches, a rare treat for the savages who had lived in the wilderness for years. The old man wanted to share news with the leader, but was shot in the head by Joey's mother. Joey felt relieved and ran to his mother for protection. The cunning savage pretended to be a mother, exploiting maternal instincts and pleading for mercy. Joey's mother, after much thought, chose not to hit and instead picked up the figurine before leaving with him. The sandstorm might have hidden her actions, but a recently rescued savage alerted his friends, causing them to shoot and blow up the spare fuel tank behind Joey's mother, forcing her to stop and put out the fire. Despite her life being safe, the blood she left behind signaled her escape route to Hammer Brother, with engines roaring nearby. The mother realized her motorcycle would be caught by their cars. She had to give the figurine to Joey, telling him to follow the sun and stars back home. She let Joey go alone and stayed behind. Gunfire rang out in the canyon, halting the savages' advance. Thor commanded a flank maneuver, and by the time Joy's mother noticed, it was too late. Two fists can't match forehand strength. Joy felt connected to her mother's cries and couldn't leave her alone. Unable to endure his mother's suffering, he willingly walked into the trap. Thor leveraged his mother's life to make Joy disclose the oasis's location. But in reality, Joy didn't know where home was. How could a child know the way in the desert? Thor made Joy watch his mother endure brutal torture, instilling deep hatred in his heart. Joy was caged and guarded, taken daily by the tribe to search the desert for clues to the legendary oasis. He discovered a new land with a massive fortress above the canyon. Water Brothers surrounded the location with a large force, declaring via microphone that he could take it down quickly and demanded immediate surrender to avoid death. Unbeknownst to him, he had struck a tough iron plate, governed by the fearsome Undying Old Joe. Undying Old Joe remained silent before the arrogant man. He signaled the war boys, who quickly armed themselves with thunderfire guns, jumped onto the Blue Serpent, and charged at Thor's soldiers. It was completely insane. Immortal Old Joe asserted that each war boy he commanded was exceptionally fierce, undefeated in years of battle. They then launched a fierce attack on Thor's army. Realizing he had picked the wrong fight, Thor hurriedly retreated with his troops, but he was still coveting this prime piece of land. He wandered, observing the terrain, waiting for the right moment. He discovered that near the fortress was an oil refinery owned by immortal Old Joe, whose convoy often transported gasoline. He devised a bold idea at this point. Thor stood guard overnight, and the next day, he sent his troops to intercept the returning oil convoy. His aim was to capture the oil refinery, not just the truck's gasoline. He disguised his men as war boys and sent some to fake a chase of the transport truck to deceive the refinery into opening its gates. The cautious white-haired boss at the refinery observed the situation without any intention of opening the door, leaving Thor anxious. To avoid being exposed, he brutally attacked his own men with a bow and arrow to make the scene more convincing. The other brothers were shocked. Despite the difficulty, the arrow had to be released, and it worked. Seeing this, the old leader immediately ordered the city gates to be opened, unaware that a large number of enemies were hiding underneath. The gates were swiftly seized by the guards, and Shuai-gu effortlessly took complete control of the entire area. This gave him leverage to negotiate with Immortal Joe, claiming the oil factory now belonged to him. In the future, gasoline will need more food and water for production. Immortal Joe was a fierce opponent, leading to Hammer Brother killing the old leader. Tensions rose as Hammer Brother held the power to detonate the oil factory with his remote. While he was confidently showing off, Joe noticed Joey quietly hiding behind him, which piqued his curiosity and interest. Joe gathered only healthy women for his harem, aiming for healthy offspring. He urgently struck a deal with Old Joe. Joey did not realize he had moved from one danger to another. Upon arriving at Old Joe's harem, he realized the women were confined and treated solely as breeding machines. Joey, fearing a similar fate to others, secretly cut off his hair at night, molded it with candle wax onto a fruit plate, and wore it as a wig. Old Joe's eldest son secretly planned to exploit Joey in his room that night. Joey escaped with a phantom shot, disappearing before he was chased. Old Joe's second son walked by while the eldest denied losing Joey, acting as if nothing occurred. Joey barely avoided disaster. He disguised as a wheel worker, blending in to escape. A storm suddenly arose, threatening to derail an excavator. Many subordinates had already made sacrifices. Joey stepped forward with his agility, successfully saving the excavator. After recovering a major loss, he was promoted to wheel foreman. He remained in his position for years, eventually finding an escape opportunity. Old Joe plans to construct a super battle vehicle for resource transport amid chaos. On the night the vehicle is finished, he secretly hides his motorcycle and supplies, planning to escape when it leaves the city. On the first day outside the city, he was unexpectedly attacked, leading to the destruction of his supplies hidden under the vehicle. Now, he can only focus on protecting the motorcycle. No one has noticed his presence amid the chaos. The enemy is planting a bomb under the vehicle. He must leave the motorcycle to defuse the bomb. The enemy notices the action and nearly falls. The war boy swiftly uses a mechanical arm to deflect danger, enabling their escape. Joe initially planned to stay hidden until they wore each other out. The enemy is unexpectedly fierce, threatening his survival and the vehicles. He reluctantly joins the fight, using a bomb to defeat the enemies ahead. He gathers key parts to fix the vehicle's front radiator. Jack, the team leader, finds a hidden girl in his team. They must unite to confront a formidable enemy, with no time to spare. Joe is composed, quick-thinking, and skilled. His arrival changed the battle's course. Joey swiftly defeated the remaining enemies using his spinning meteor hammer, despite all the war boys being dead. Joey, eager to take the super war vehicle, aimed his gun at Jack, but lacked experience. Jack abruptly changed the situation and ejected him from the vehicle. In this endless desert, lacking transportation leads to a dead end. But just then, Jack returned. He admired Joey so much that he offered to teach him survival skills in the desert if he joined him, and he wouldn't hold his past against him. He could have killed Jack and taken the vehicle. However, Jack had a certain charm that made him feel this man could be trusted. She became part of Jack's guard. Jack fulfilled his promise, taking her cargo trading daily, and they prospered. The guard primarily facilitated trade between the armory and refinery, swapping food and water. On that day at the refinery, Water Brother caused major issues by raising prices, stealing goods intended for exchange, and insisting they return with double the goods for future gasoline deals, which angered Old Joe. Troops sent to Hammer, fight to death. He ordered Jack to fetch weapons from the armory before starting the war. Jack, unable to avoid chaos, chose to let Joey go on the trip to keep him out of the conflict. He made him drive the final small car. Joey recognized Jack's intentions, but didn't indicate a desire to leave until they arrived at the armory. He realized he had fallen into Hammer's trap and taken over the armory. He intentionally created chaos to trap the army. This war vehicle would pose significant challenges during the war. Joey quickly decided to reverse and escape. Despite the perfect chance to leave, his reliance on Jack made walking away difficult. With their coordinated efforts, they could have fought their way out. But at that moment, Jack noticed a large number of enemies approaching. To ensure Joey's safe departure, he decided to buy time for himself. The foolproof plan now faced a change. Hammer, being ruthless and brief, directly grabbed his men as shields, firing a rocket that hit Joey's location. Jack, in panic, crashed the war vehicle into the tower. Thor was fortunate. He survived the fall unharmed. Jack was about to fall off a cliff, but Joey drove over to save him. They rode a motorcycle to the city gate, then escaped in a car. Joey aimed to elope with Jack in his hometown, away from chaos. However, the crazed Thor had no intention of letting them go, using his powerful off-road vehicle to chase them down. Joey cleverly turned the steering wheel to use dirt, escaping their pursuer. Thor's vehicle quickly caught up due to its off-road capability. In the gunfight, Jack was hurt. Thor almost crushed Joey's left hand, and their car ended up in a pit. The unfortunate couple was ensnared. After all this, Thor, filled with rage, decided to torture them to death. He had his men drag Jack on a motorcycle while Joey watched, and then released his vicious dogs to chase and attack Jack. Thor's anger was unleashed after they were tormented for half a day. Joey realized he had chosen to cut off his arm to escape, consumed by hatred. Joe informed Old Joe about the news and his plan to launch an attack. This news came just in time, as they saw flames rising from the oil refinery. Old Joe intended to reclaim the refinery, but Hammer Brother appears to have lured them out intentionally. Old Joe chose to pretend success by sending a group to deceive Hammer Brother. Hammer Brother tried to capture the city during a weak moment, but was ambushed by Old Joe, forcing a panicked retreat. Joey felt it was the right time for revenge, so he put on his mechanical arm and pursued them. Hammer Brother, out of ammo and food, watched his remaining brothers fall to snipers and ordered a retreat. Joey couldn't tell which route Hammer Brother had taken. He had to remove them one by one, using the nitrous boost to quickly overtake a group. The largest group appeared to have misjudged the situation, as Hammer Brother was absent. From this vantage point, he used the 8x scope to aim at another target, but it had already been eliminated by others. The savage of the tribe killed him, revealing it wasn't Thor. He saw there was only one way left. Thor believed he had escaped Joey, but after a night's rest, he discovered his water bottle was slashed and his motorcycle wheels were missing. He saw Joey's ghost staring at him. Realizing his gun had no bullets left, he grasped the meaning of despair as relentless pursuers forced him to kneel and beg for mercy. He recalled that the enemy before him was Joey, whom he had captured 10 years earlier. The end was near. His hatred would lead him to an endless abyss. He believed dying from torture was the worst, not realizing Joey's methods were far worse. Joey planted a peach tree seed in a prime spot in his groin. Fresh peaches grew from his body's nutrients, bound by iron chains, trapping him in a tragic state of limbo between life and death.